Hey, I'm Dr. Sam, a physical therapist here with REI Co-op, and with the help of Anna, who's going to demonstrate some exercises for us, we're going to run through cross-training for skiing because we want to help you prevent injury and feel strong on the mountain. For skiing, the list of exercises we'll do are walking lunge with rotation, hip roll, lunge squat, lateral ski jump, chop, lift, bridge with adductor squeeze, hip clock. During this video, we'll do a quick demo of each exercise and lay out a basic training plan for you. Remember, you might want to consult a doctor or physical therapist before you start any of these exercises. Walking lunge with rotation just to get warmed up. Just to remember, as you're doing the walking lunge, to keep everything in a nice alignment from your hip to your toes and trying to stay nice and tall as you rotate through. Ideally, you want to be able to go about 10 spaces out and 10 spaces back. One way to modify this, if you're short on space, is just like Anna, taking a couple steps at a time, or not going as deep into that lunge. Hip roll. So we really want to prep those hips before we get started on some of these other more intense exercises. And the hips are going to be important to really control the way that that knee's moving and preventing all of this diving in. So really trying to get that full rotation, shooting for 15 reps each side, going through that one time. If that feels a little too hard, you can put your back foot down and turn that way, really still feeling that work happening in that hip. Or grab onto something nearby you, maybe a countertop or a chair, to stabilize yourself. And just using the chair as much as you need it. Lunge squat to build some power. So if you can, you're going to shoot for doing 15 each leg and running through one set of that before moving on to the next exercise. Some easy things that you can do to modify it are not going as deep into that squat or as deep into that lunge. Maybe just putting your foot back behind you and coming back up to the start position. Lateral ski jump to also work on some power with balance. Since this is such a dynamic movement, you want to make sure that when you're landing, it's nice and soft and you're not wobbling there. So that way we're really working on that power through our hips and our quads. Shooting for jumping 15 times to each side. Going through that once before we move on to the next exercise. Ways that you can make this harder are jumping farther to each side, or as Anna's going to show here, really sinking down into it. Good. And then you can make it easier by simply stepping to the side and working on balance that way. Chop. With the chop, it's going to be important to remember to keep those arms nice and straight and think about turning through the torso here. Anna's doing a great job of really letting her abs do the work and moving that resistance. You want to shoot for a medium resistance band, trying to do 15 repetitions each side for one set. Some easy ways to modify it are moving away from that point of anchor and really making that band tighter, or you can move closer to your point of anchor and make that band a little bit lighter. Lift. As you do the lift, remember to really turn through your trunk and not your arms to minimize the loading on your shoulders. And then as you come through, really extending on your toe to work on that glute versus arching through your back. Anna's only going to do a few for us, but try to do 15 each side for one set. And then to make it a little bit harder, you can of course move away from your anchor point to make that band tighter, or you can move towards it and make it a little bit lighter. Shoot for a band that's about medium resistance. Bridge with adductor squeeze. With the bridge, you want to make sure that you're really focusing on squeezing through those glutes to lift you rather than overarching your back. You can do that by just also tucking that belly button, keeping your back nice and straight. Anna here is going to be using a blanket. If you've got a towel that you can roll up or a yoga block, that's great. As you lift, you're giving that a firm squeeze to really work on those inner muscles of your thigh. Try to do 20 and make sure to breathe throughout the motion. To make it harder, you can go to a single leg version while still maintaining that squeeze to that blanket. To make it easier, go ahead and remove that blanket and try a traditional bridge. Hip clock to work on some balance. As you work through the hip clock, some things to remember are trying to not let that knee wobble. And then as you take it into different directions, like Anna is here, not letting your weight shift over. Ideally, you'd run through this about 4 or 5 times on each leg for 1 set. And making sure, as Anna's doing, coming up to a nice tall position between each movement. To make it a little bit easier, try not to go out as far and really focus on that balance part of it. And then to make it harder, go ahead and see if you can squat deeper into each position. All right, so now that you've gone through a full set of those exercises, take a little break, maybe a couple of minutes, and see if you can run through those again 2 to 3 more times. If you're able to, try to get this in 2 to 3 times a week, alternating that with some cardio or taking a full day of rest. And when the season's approaching, try to start 6 to 8 weeks beforehand. Here's a reminder of the exercise list again with the number of suggested repetitions. Nice work. Hope to see you out there on the slopes, and don't forget to check out the other content for skiing.